Hey there. I'm here with Nikki Johnson in Charleston, South Carolina. And Nikki, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. And really, I'm so excited to hear about the healing you do with crystals and how you got into that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to share my story.
Great. Actually, I'll say Nikki and I met I thought it was a really cool day. Her friend had hosted sort of a wellness afternoon or day at her house. And Nikki was there talking about and giving us tips on how we can heal and really heal. And you brought some of your gems, some of your crystals with you. So I'd like to hear more about how did you get into that?
Well, it's been quite a journey, but I randomly got into it from a friend, and she was actually a neighbor of mine, and she was really into Reiki and crystals, and I had really no idea what any of it was about, but she brought me to a crystal shop, and there was a woman doing angel readings, which I didn't know what that was, and she ended up doing one on me, and it was just, I had a couple of like aha moments in that reading. And then I ended up coming home with my first crystal. And that was kind of the beginning of it. I started just digging more into what it just resonated a lot with me. So I started digging more into that, and kind of, that was probably about like 5 years ago or so. And as, time progressed, I started feeling this pull more and more towards it. And it's just like totally, my whole life has changed dramatically, including my career, because of this discovery.
And would you say that it was sort of like your heart pulled you that way?
Yeah, well, definitely my heart pulled me that way. And there was a battle going on between what my career was at that time, and then this new calling that I had, and like this fight, kind of like heart versus head kind of thing, and it was just funny how like the universe shows up. It gives you the signs, and if you don't pay attention to them, there's going to be signs that you don't like.
What were you doing beforehand? Before you got into this?
So I was doing like online health and fitness coaching.
Okay.
And I was very successful with that. And that's a part of the reason that it was hard for me to kind of switch avenues, is because I had seen so much success in what I was doing, and like, why would I ever just like stop doing that? So
Right.
that's kind of where the struggle came in. It was kind of like this was pulling my heart, but this was like my livelihood.
Right. And so did you feel like you had to push through some fear to just say, okay, I'm just going to do it afraid, or what did that feel like?
Yeah, definitely a lot of fear, a lot of tears, a lot of just questions, as somebody who, I'm an Enneagram 3. I don't know if you know anything about the Enneagram, but the 3s are like the achievers and like the doers. So as a 3, it's like my whole thing is like, I thrive off of like doing and achieving and succeeding. And so for me to kind of like take a step back from that, what I was doing and being so successful at, and starting from scratch brand new, it's something that who knows if I could be successful at it or not, was like a big, like a mind thing. I had to go through and face that fear and decide what I wanted to do.
And I'm guessing that you're really glad that you did.
I am. I'm so happy. Like it's always like hindsight's 2020, and I still have, my health and fitness business. I just don't spend that much time on it. I spend most of my time building my new business. And it's just, I'm also always been a person who has to be having fun to do the work.
Yeah.
And so this is what's fun for me. And I just have so much fun playing with crystals and teaching people about crystals and energy, and how it can change their life.
What would you say to others that were in a situation where they're like something crops up where they think they're supposed to be following it, but if someone was in a situation like you were, in kind of like very stable and successful in your business, and then all of a sudden there's this new passion, and what would you say to someone to kind of encourage them to follow their heart, follow the lead of their soul?
It's funny because when you're talking about the fear, and follow the fear has always been such a motto of mine. Like I always know that when I'm scared, when I'm uncomfortable, usually that leads to a big breakthrough, or it leads to something that's worthwhile. And so it's so hard to stand and face that fear and feel like, oh my gosh, the what ifs, I don't know. But we have to remember, like, our brain is trying to keep us safe, but it doesn't necessarily care if it's if we're happy. Right. So it's like, do I stay stuck where I am, but not happy because I feel safe? Or do I just go for it, knowing that maybe things are going to be hard at first? But I'm a big believer in, like, the universe is always going to have my back. It's going to be there for me no matter what. So if I don't take that opportunity, or like, if I don't face that fear, then who knows, like, the what ifs, what will my life, what would I miss out on?
Sure. And what kind
follow my heart.
I do think, like, so many times on the other side of fear is great growth. And
and honestly, like, I wish I had done it sooner. I wish I was so scared for, like, almost 2 years to dive into it. And I dabbled. If you go to my Instagram, you can kind of see, like, going back and forth, talking about my different, the crystals, or talking about the health and nutrition and fitness stuff. And it's just because I was just so scared to just go all in. But there were so many signs, and there were so many things pushing me to go all in, that it was just like that I couldn't ignore it anymore.
Right.
And so I finally decided that I had to do it. And so it's been so great. It's been so great for me mentally.
Oh, I'm sure. And I think taking baby steps too, when it's such a big change, is fine. Like, sometimes we just have to do that. We just have to kind of take these little steps until we feel 100% ready, and
right.
And do it that way. So well, tell us, like, a little bit more about how you do the healing with crystals, and what do you love about it, or what's your favorite part, or how, what does it entail?
So I do a couple of things. I have crystal healing sessions, and I'm obviously doing those remotely now. I can do them distantly. And I also have a course. So I teach people not just about crystals, but about all different kinds of energy. And it's mainly walking them through kind of how to incorporate practices into their everyday life so that they can raise their energetic vibration. So, like, using things like meditation, affirmations, manifesting crystals, all of that kind of fun stuff. And it's about a 4-week type of course. And so crystals are just like a tool that you can use to help raise your frequency, to help raise that vibration. So when I'm doing, like, a healing session, basically, and I'm really big on the science behind all this stuff, because I know there's a lot of people that are, like, skeptical about this kind of stuff, but I have one of my crystals right here, but I have them everywhere. But basically, crystals they have one energetic vibration. They're very strong and stable. They grow in a crystalline structure that is just always the same. As long as they're growing, it's just always the same frequency. Whereas as humans, we have all different frequencies running through our body. If they were to measure our frequencies, like, our brain is different than our heart. And we are very chaotic as human beings. Like, we tend to go more towards chaos than we do towards stability. And so when we use crystals, we can entrain them with our frequency. So usually what they've found is that when you have a lower frequency, it's always going to match the higher frequency. It's called entrainment.
Okay.
So when you place crystals on your body, specifically through the chakras, your body will entrain your frequency to the frequency of the crystal, and therefore you can become more balanced. Most people's chakras are going to come out of balance frequently, because that's just, for humans, we tend towards chaos. And so when you use the crystals, you can get back into balance. And it's kind of like, it's just, I say, like, the healing is kind of like getting a massage. It's like going to get you really relaxed, release some things from your body energetically, whereas, like, a massage is going to release toxins from your body. A crystal healing session is going to release some of those emotional or energetic, stuck blocks that you have.
So I'm guessing then that each crystal has its own vibration, or do some of them share a vibration?
It depends too, like, on the size. Like, the bigger the crystal, the more of a higher frequency and vibration you're going to have. And then you can get even into, like, if you go into a crystal shop, they'll have, like, these are great for manifesting abundance. These ones are great for like love. These ones are great. And that stuff is more, I like to say that's like the fun extra stuff, because we don't necessarily know where that came from. Like who was the person that decided that the rose quartz is for love, you know? So it's kind of like more the intention for your stones is there. And also, I mean, getting into even like quantum physics, like time and space doesn't exist, you know, like these things can work with our minds just by us thinking about it in the frequency of our brain. And there's just so much beyond our human knowledge with this kind of stuff. So it's hard to kind of like wrap your head around exactly how the science works, but that with the frequencies is proven science that they have done studies on. I mean, we have quartz crystals in our brain. We have quartz crystals in our cell phone. So it's not, you know, the power of the crystal is well known by the scientific field. And
so then if you're doing a healing on someone, will you be able to kind of intuitively feel which crystals you would need to use? Is that kind of how it works? Like,
yes, usually like I have my favorites depending on my session. Like I don't usually know much about the person unless it's like a friend of mine. But I use a pendulum to detect energy on their chakras. So I don't always have to, like, sometimes I'll get an intuitive hit, but I'm not a psychic. I don't like necessarily always get that intuitive feeling from people. I've had a few instances where I could feel on my own body, like where I felt they were blocked. And then I discover that I was right, which is always like so weird for me. I'm like, oh my gosh. And
we know ourselves.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Sometimes I still surprise myself all the time. I'm like, this is so cool. But yeah, I usually go before the session. I'll just like go to my crystal box and I'll just pick out, and I always use the same similar stones for each chakra. Usually you use like the color that's associated with that chakra.
Sure.
So I rotate a few, and I always have like I almost always use this crystal on people's throats because it's just my favorite. When we were at the event we met at, I had my friend April was there.
Yes.
It was her house, and she was having this terrible cough, and she was just like having a hard time. So I gave her this crystal and I said, just put this on your throat for a while. And she left it there for about half an hour, and then she went into the bathroom and had like a coughing attack, and then she was fine. I was like, the crystal.
I know. It does. That with this gift that you have, and that you were brave enough to just follow through, and now you're helping so many people. How do you think you give back from this journey? Like, in what way does that resonate with you in giving back to others or to the community or the world?
I feel like I've learned something that has significantly changed my life. And this goes back to even my prior business. And I had something that changed my life. And I always had this passion for paying it forward, sharing what I've done and what I've used to change my life. And I feel like so many people, especially right now, are living in fear, living with anxiety, living with, you know, just all these worries all the time. And they don't know that there is a better way out there of things that they can do to help themselves be happier, raise their vibration through all of these tools. And so for me, it's just paying it forward and sharing the knowledge that I've learned with other people. And that's kind of like what I've been doing for the past 7 years of my life, in both of my different businesses, which is so funny because I'm doing the same thing. I'm helping women transform their lives just through a different way.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just I want to share it. I just want to share all of the knowledge and help other women just become, you know, their best selves.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. We love to do that too here at the Twista. Well, Nikki, I just want to thank you so much for your time. And, you have a website. What's your website? Can you tell us your website?
Yeah, it's nikkihilljohnson.com.
Okay, great. So that if anyone's interested, they can contact you that way. And I just want to thank you again so much. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon for a healing. God knows I need one after this coronavirus thing.
Yes, we all do.